You're listening to the Chronicles of Living podcast, where we talk to everyday people about everyday things in the past, present, and future. Now let's talk. Greetings, my visionary dreamers. How is everybody doing today, Monday? Let's get it started, Mondays. It's adionne, your dream pusher, your lifeguard, saving you from the world, saving you from yourself, saving you from drowning in yourself, saving you from drowning in thoughts of other people. Today's topic: are your thoughts your own? Do you know? Do you know if your thoughts are really your own? Now, first off, this is the Chronicles of Living podcast show for those of y'all who are just tuning in. And this podcast show is for everyday people doing everyday things, living everyday life. I keeps it all the way real. And I just want to start off by just thanking everybody that's been following me from day one. I really, really appreciate all of you guys. I appreciate your inboxes. I appreciate your emails. It really helps me to continue to go on with the show and to really work through the little patches that I have to get through when my day is kind of crazy, you know. I know some people tuned in yesterday and downloaded, and I did something different, and I tried to drive while I was podcasting, and then I listened back to it, and it was horrible. You heard everything, the cars going past, and so once I listened back to it, I had to delete the show. And so that's why, if you're tuning in today, the title is kind of similar, because when I listened back, I said, wow, this is a good topic, and I know a lot of people can relate to this. If they can't relate to it, I'm sure they have a family member or a friend that can relate to this. But I think that we all can relate to this topic in a lot of ways, you know, because I think that we're all victims of this. And I'm not saying victims in a bad way. I'm just saying we just, you know, we can't help it, because, you know, we all were, we were all born and we were taken care of by other people, and we had no choice in the people we were taking care of as we were growing up. You know, it wasn't until we got to a certain age that we can fend for ourselves that we were able to maybe escape or go our separate ways. So meanwhile, we're growing up with different people subjecting us to their thoughts of us, sometimes good, sometimes bad. And I decided to talk about this topic. My son visited me over the weekend, well, kind of like, 4 days, and it was an awesome visit. He really enjoyed his break. He was, at first he's like, but he really had a good time. And those who have been following me, y'all know that I done moved on, and I finally found my community that I love, and occupation, the career that I love, and it's a lot of great things, a lot of enlightenment going on, about life, about the world, about myself. And those who have been following me through the beginning of this journey, this podcast, the live broadcast, that's what it's all about. It's just been about a journey of rediscovering who I am, and me talking to y'all so we can rediscover who we are together, because we all, we grow, we change our mindset from year to year, and sometimes we change our mindset on our own, but sometimes it comes from those around us and their thoughts of us, or it might be what we think they thinking of us, Sometimes it's not even them that's thinking it, but sometimes it's us as people trying to, well, I don't, but a lot of people, they try to keep up with the Joneses. They want to stay with the status quo and live the standard life and what society says and how it's supposed to be. And, so I'm trying to remember the things that I talked about yesterday, because some of the points that I talked about, I really think were valid points. They were really good points. And so I tried to jot down some of the things. As I was saying, we grow up in a world where people just expect this whole uniform life of you. And they impose what they do on you. And if you're different, it's almost like you don't fit. And that kind of causes confusion and confliction within your spirit, your soul, your mindset, because now you think something is wrong with you because you're different, because you don't live life the way everybody else lives. And take me for instance, everybody that's been following me, I've been sharing some of my story and some of my journey, and I've told you that I've lived over probably 30 something places in my life right now, and I'm only 47. And I've worked as many jobs, but sometimes at the same time, two to three jobs at the same time. So that's what made the number grow so great in the short amount of time of my lifespan. But I've learned so much from every place that I've lived, every place that I've worked. I've learned so much about myself. I've learned so much about people. And I watch people, and I try to teach, my kids that same thing. Just be observant. Just watch people. Watch them. Listen to what they say and watch them. Because it can tell you a lot about a person. It can tell you a lot about a person when they impose certain things on you. And they try to tell you, okay, no, this is how you need to live your life. Regardless of whatever talents and gifts that you have, whatever, difference that you have inside of you, people would just say, okay, it's almost like a blueprint. You grow up, you got to go to school, you got to graduate from school, and in some cases, you got to go to college, you got to graduate from college, you got to meet some. Let me back up. If the pressure's on, if you're a male, sometimes you gotta, and a female, these young kids these days have a lot of pressure on them. When they become teenagers, now with social media, the pressure's on. Oh, you gotta have sex. Oh, you gotta be dating. Oh, it's just so many people putting stuff out there, and I think that's what causes a lot of problems with our youth, with not just our youth, but our grown-ups. Like I was saying yesterday, I'm 47, I'm single, and I have been single for a while. I've dated, but I haven't really, when I look back, even when I think about the relationships that I did have, to me, in my standards, I don't really call them real relationships. I've always been a person, I just want to do what I want. I'm a free-spirited person. So I know I have to find somebody that can deal with me, because when I'm ready to go, I'm ready to go, So I have, I know that some of the guys I dated, I was like intimidating to them because I'm fearless. I'm a risk taker. A lot of men don't know what to do with that. They don't. It's like, some men, they feel like, oh, wait a minute, how can I control this? Like, she say she want to do this. It's like, yeah, get on the same page. So I choose to be single at this point in my life. And like I was saying yesterday, even though you can't hear it today, but what I was saying is this. Example, I'm 47 years old. Soon as my son left the house, everybody is like, oh, you need to get a man. Not even before that. You need to get a man. You need to, because I was single mom and, it was hard. It was a struggle. I'm not going to sit up here and lie. It was a struggle, but it was all worth it, And as I moved around, so many people was telling me, oh, that's not good for him. And you shouldn't be moving him around. And, it's just not healthy. He's going to be confused. All of this stuff. And I'm here to say today, my son came out damn good. Probably better than a whole lot of kids that grew up in the same household for years. And that's not to say nothing against, people that raise their kids. That's good. That's stable. That's their path. My path is different. And I just think that people got to stop imposing their thoughts on other people and what they expect the person's life should look like. Because at the end of the day, you don't know how each individual is wired. Everybody's wired differently. Just like I was saying, yesterday, if everybody was wired the same way, one, we would have a boring world. And two, we wouldn't have all these great inventions. We wouldn't have all of this technology. We wouldn't have all of this stuff because those are the people who thought outside the box and was quote unquote called crazy because they had these out of the world ideas and dreams and visions, and they went after it wholeheartedly. And they did not stop, and they did not worry about what people thought. And people talk behind their back. People, so many people talk about me, call me a dreamer, call me this, that, and the other. I don't care. And I'm so grateful to God that He gave me this strength, this personality, because it's a couple of times that I did. I started feeling like, oh, well, maybe it is something wrong with me. Maybe I do need to, just stay at a certain type of job and work in a cubicle, and nothing against the cubicle workers, nothing against them. But like I said, we're all wired differently. And if anybody is a free-spirited person, they know what I'm talking about. I'm not cut out like that. I'm a person that I have to work in a field where I'm dealing with people, but I'm out and about. I can't sit still. That's just, maybe I got adult ADHD. Maybe. I don't know. But the bottom line is this. It works for me. That works for me. You know what I'm saying? And it worked for my son because he got a chance to see real life very young. He got a chance to see that the picture is not always pretty. It's not always perfect. It's going to be some ups and downs. I got a chance to teach him how to be frugal, how to understand that, yeah, we like nice things. I've always had nice cars and houses and all that stuff. But to make him know that you never get attached to things. You never get attached to material things. So many people put thoughts in your head and make you think that if you don't have a big house, if you don't have a nice car, if you don't have the fly clothes and stuff, then you're beneath them. Then you're not worthy of being in the same space or whatever. Or if you don't have a steady job or a steady home, that you're unstable. No, that's not true. Everybody got to find their own path. We all have to find what it is. Why are we here? We all have purpose. And I shared in one of my podcasts before, I can't remember which title, but I talked about how I realized through where I work at now at the Institute, our guru was talking about, he was having a lecture one time, and he was talking about how, as he was learning, his teacher pretty much sent them to different places to teach. And every time the teacher would hear in his voice that he was comfortable, he would pretty much ship him out to somewhere else to teach. And so he moved around a lot. And when he said that to me, it hit something in me. It made me feel, it just was like it answered that question mark I always had. Like, why do I move around so much? Why have I moved around a lot in my life? And as I recall, all the jobs, every place that I've moved, I was able to help somebody in in a big way. It might have been a small thing I did, but the feedback from that person was like, oh my gosh, thank you. Whether it was me being just somebody that listened to them, that they I don't know what it is, but people always open up to me. They just come out of nowhere. It could be a stranger. I just sit down and all of a sudden they telling me their whole life story. I don't know. I must got cancer written on my forehead. I don't know, but it's all good. And each place that I lived, each place that I worked, I was able to help somebody in an awesome way. And it just made me feel good about who God created me to be. So while everybody else was putting these thoughts on me and saying, oh, you know, Dag, you moving again, Dag, this, and you don't understand because you're not in my life. You're not in my DNA. You're not wired this way, so you can never understand. So when I stopped, I had to get to the point in my life that I stopped worrying about what everybody else thought and I started living for me. I started living for me. Me and my son, I think we're so close because ever since he was young, I respected him. I respected his opinion. Every time we moved, we talked about it. We talked about the ups, the downs, you know, the pros and the cons. We looked at the schools. I let him choose. When we used to go to church, I didn't make a decision without without him approving. I gave him that respect. And so he was always involved in each decision. But now, he is so mature beyond his years. He knows how to make his choices as we talk, his decisions that he makes. It's like, wow, okay. You know what I mean? Wow, you came up with that conclusion on your own? Like, you didn't have to call me? Okay, right. Because he understands. Don't worry about what everybody else thinks of you. He almost fell in that whole sinkhole, you know, when he was younger, worrying about what other people thought, you know, about him. And I had to coach him through it like, yo, no, you are intelligent, you are handsome, this, that, and the other, you know. He started writing his books and stuff. People was talking about, oh, you know, the editing, this, that, and the other. And it almost made him stop writing. And I had to tell him, no, you don't worry about what everybody else thinks. You wrote this book. God gave you that talent. God gave you that gift. And it's going to grow. You continue to you grow as you go. You grow as you go. So you continue to do what's on your heart. And the fans that love your writing, they will come to you. It's not for everybody. You got to understand that your gifts and your talents and your dreams and your visions is not for everybody. Everybody is not going to agree with the way what you want to do in life. Everybody is not going to like the choices that you make, the path that you choose. Especially if it's coming from people that's just used to the regular standard way of living. And it's like, I don't have nothing against people like that. But my thing is, don't dim nobody light if you don't understand they light. That's not a good thing, because you don't know what you can stop that can benefit the world. You don't know what creation, what invention, you don't know how far somebody's dream can take them. That is for them to fail, get back up, fail, get back up. You know, all the great people, if you look at all the great people, they have failed so many times, but yet we got smartphones, we got an iPhone, we got all of this stuff we're using from the people that was called crazy. Steve Jobs, they thought he was crazy, you know? But look, everybody run out to go get those iPhones, don't they? And they pay a whole lot of money for it. So if he would have listened to everybody else when he dropped out of college and did whatever he did to stick to his dreams and his vision, and even though it went through tons of investors and all of that stuff and failed so many times, if he would have gave up because of what everybody else thought, y'all wouldn't be talking on y'all doggone iPhones. We wouldn't be I wouldn't have my Mac computer. You know, you think about stuff like that. So you got to stop imposing your thoughts on everybody else. See, like, the way I talk to my kids, my biological, my God kids and all of that, I conversate with them. I don't tell them, no, you can't do that. I listen to them. Well, okay, what made you come up with that? So how do you feel about that? So what, you gotta give them their own voice. You can't tell kids just because they're young that they can't do something. They're too young, or that's not a good idea, or whatever. If they thought about it, obviously God must have put it on their heart to do. I mean, unless they coming to you talking about something, I want to be a drug dealer or something like that. That's a whole nother story. We know. But if it's something, even if they're bad at it, it's basketball players. I heard Shaquille O'Neal, coach told him he could never play. I think Michael Jordan too. And look at them. They're two of the greatest basketball players out here because they didn't give up. They just went and they just practiced harder. Al Pacino, they told him, oh, he's a horrible actor. Give it up. Don't quit your day job. But look, Scarface was one of the number one top selling movie hits of all times, even though it was a bad movie, criminal movie. But the bottom line is this. These are people that was told and other people imposed their thoughts on them. And if they would have took root to those thoughts, we wouldn't know who they are right now. We would not know who they are right now. And that's what I'm saying. It's just like, if you've been following my podcast, you know that I had foster kids before. And I can clearly remember one of my foster kids. One time, I'm working on a computer, and I'm in the basement at one of the houses that I had. I'm in the basement. I'm working on a computer, and he came downstairs with the doggone now don't laugh. With what is it called? Is the, I guess, the ace bandage. I think it's called ace bandage, tied around his neck real tight, trying to choke himself. Talking about he just want to die. And this boy was 11 years old at the time. 11 years old. I'm like, what? You want to die? Why do you want to die? What's going on with you? Like, come here. Like, he's 11 years old, but you know what I did? I made him sit right on my lap. I stopped what I was doing. And I'm like, how you feel? What's making you come up with these thoughts? Like, what? Well, don't nobody care about me. My mom told me I'm not going to be nothing. It's no point on, my teachers that... This is what I'm saying about your thoughts, yo. Your thoughts, you don't know how bad they'll take root. I had to sit there and pour a whole lot into this boy to make him understand until he started laughing and sit there and I wound up doing some battle of the songs, his songs versus my song to break the mold. And I had to tell him, look, forget that. I know I'm not your mom, but I care. You smart. You know what I mean? You handsome, you're smart. And he said that he wanted to be, what he wanted to be? Was it FBI? I think it was an FBI agent or something like that. And so I had to go there and pour that into him and let him know, no, you're smart. I had to build him up. Because I don't even know how all these years of him being tore down because his mother, decided that she wanted to be on drugs. And so no telling what he saw, what kind of thoughts, what kind of people talked bad stuff into him. And it wasn't just him. I had 3 brothers. It was a chaotic situation. But I took time out of my life and I made it a point to make sure that they left their house with some type of morals, with some type of respect for themselves and for each other, because they came to my house fighting each other all the time. But by the time they left my house, they respected each other so much. They knew what sharing was. They understood that, look, y'all came from the same cloth. Y'all need to look out for each other, And I would check with the school. One of the teachers would let them call me every now and then, and I need to check on them. But I would check with the school, and the music teacher told me, he was like, you know what? You really made a difference. And they was only at my house, I think maybe I want to say 3 months. But 3 months, y'all. He was 11 years old. 3 months. That music teacher told me since he left my house, he's been not a problem. And they went to they got kicked out of all the public schools. So they were in an alternative school at 11 and 8 years old. What are we doing to our kids? This is the people that grow up and you wonder why it's so crazy out here. You wonder why. Because my thing is this. us as individuals, us as people, yeah, we might have our own kids that we bore ourselves and, we created ourselves. But I'm here to tell you that if you see a kid, not even just a kid, but an adult, and you just look at, I got a habit of this too. I could walk past somebody, and if I see them looking kind of sad, I will stop. Hey, you okay? How you doing today? And you don't understand what a difference that makes in so many people's lives. A hug, just telling somebody that they're enough, like that they're valuable, because nobody ever told them that. Instead, some people all their lives heard, you stupid, you dumb, what are you doing, you idiot, you this, that, and the other. These are other people imposing their thoughts on you. But as I said before, people that talk to you in that way was obviously talked to in that way. So now they're just repeating the cycle, regurgitating what they have all up in their spirit and their system for years. Now they want to put it on you. You know what I'm saying? And then now you're walking around feeling that way. And so now you start attracting people to give you more of that. Because as I keep telling you, we are energy. We are all energy. That's what we are. So if you're positive energy, that's what you're going to attract. If you're negative energy, that's what you're going to attract. If you don't believe me, go through it. If you're feeling like in a negative mood, think about your course of your day. Think about what happened. Think about the people you encountered. If you're a positive person, think about the people you encountered. Think about the course of your day. Now, just because you're positive, I'm not saying that you're not going to cross negative people. But if you got a positive mindset and outlook about life and you don't take people personal, guess what? The negative person that you cross, you're going to wind up making smile. Because you're going to stop and say, what's going on with you today? Like, how? It don't take nothing for you to stop and help somebody change their thoughts. It don't cost you no money. It don't. It really don't. My kids, they've all, had different experiences. My god kids, they've all had a lot of different deep experiences. And, they're getting older, but they call me for anything that's bothering them. They will call me at a drop of a dime. They will call me and because they know I'm going to just listen. I can remember one time, one of my little cousins, all my little cousins used to always want to come spend a night over my apartment when I was young and I was in my early 20s and stuff like that. For some reason, they would always want, if one found out, the other ones was, now I got 8 kids at my house spending the night. And I asked one of them one time, by this time, I think she was, I want to say about 17. And she just wanted to just hang with me. And I'm like, 17, female, like, they just want to do their thing. They don't want to hang with their big cousin or, I'm kind of like an aunt to them, really. Age-wise. And I asked her, I said, I just have some errands to run. Why do you want to ride with me? Like, why you always want to ride with me? You know what she said? Because you listen to me. You listen to us. Another one of my little cousins said the same thing. You listen to us. You don't just tell us. You listen. And that's the difference. Like, I love my family. And I know people mean well. But it's a difference between conversation, listening, and telling. Is a huge difference. Because see, when you get in that whole thing of telling, because you thinking like you want to save the person from whatever pitfalls and this and the other. So you're telling them, don't do this, don't do that, don't do this, don't do that because of this and that and the other. As opposed to saying, well, what's going on with you? How you make it out of school, and then letting them talk. And then taking from their conversation and joining in and making sure that you make them feel like you're just excited about the conversation, or you're just as devastated about the conversation as they are. And relating to them and saying, well, when I was young, I had a similar situation happen, or my friend had a similar situation, and this is what happened. And then you draw out your story, and you draw out the repercussions or whatever. And then now they're looking at it in a different light. They're looking at it in a different light. I remember just maybe like last month, one of my girlfriends called me from Georgia. And she was like, listen, I need you to really talk. I need you or your son to talk to my granddaughter because her mother want to move from Detroit back to Georgia because it's better, because it's crazy out there and the school is just horrible. And she don't want to move. She says she tired of moving around because the daughter moved around a lot. So she called me because, I can relate. And I said, my son is not available, but I'll talk to her. And so I knew this kid since she was maybe like, I say 8. Now she's about 17. 17. She's in her last year. And I just told her, I said, I understand. I started off just like this. Listen, I understand how you feel. I understand you met some friends and, you just want to have a regular childhood. And I had to go into that and come to her level of understanding. So she can see I'm not just getting on the phone and saying, yo, you need to move because you're a child. You not grown. You don't make the decisions. You don't pay the bill. I didn't go there. See, that's what we do as adults. We tell our kids that. We say, look, you don't pay no bills. You're going to do what I say until you grown enough to pay the bills and this thing. That's what we do because that's what was done to us. So that's what I'm saying. The thoughts of the status quo, the standard way. This is how it's supposed to be done. This is how you're supposed to talk to your kids. No, it's not. No, it's not. You have to come to their level to understand their way of thinking. This world is ever growing. Things are ever changing. When you think back where we are now from 1,000 years ago, think about it. Yo, they didn't have bathrooms and toilet. What? Come on, look at where we are now. We didn't have social media when I was 17, 18, whatever. We didn't have social media. We had a typewriter. Y'all know what I'm talking about. And you mess up one word, now you got to start all over. Wasn't no spell check. Wasn't no friending somebody and all of this stuff. So now they're faced with not just the thoughts that the parents impose and what the parents expect of them, but now they got whole wide world internet, Facebook, Twitter, all of this stuff that's imposing their thoughts on them. Cyberbullying and all of this stuff. They got to deal with this. So now they come to you for some advice or just want to talk or they feeling some type of way and you're not even paying attention. And then you're wondering why your child is acting crazy. Or whatever. Because you too busy running through life trying to get the flyer's car or the flyer's house or the flyer's Gucci bag, whatever. You too busy trying to be fly. While your kids got all these people imposing all these thoughts on them and making them feel some type of way and changing their makeup of who they really are. Yo, we got to get better. It's not just the kids, it's the adults too. Like, a lot of people go through life and it's like if they had these parents that just told them they was never going to be nothing. Do you realize that that's just how they live their life? You wonder why some people just don't work, don't just go through life really not caring, I guarantee you this. If you stop judging them and if you sat down and had a conversation with them, I bet you they'll tell you something like what my foster kid said. Well, I messed up in life. My boss told me I would never be nothing, that I wasn't good enough. My teacher told me I wasn't good enough. My mom and my daddy told me. So what's the point? That's how deep thoughts are. That's how deep. It's like I was saying the other day. Why is it that I want to say it the way I said it yesterday. Why do we think what everybody else thinks of us is more important than what we think of us? Did y'all get that? Let me say it slower. Why do we think what everybody else thinks of us is more important than what we think of us? That's some deep stuff, y'all. But it's the truth. It is the truth. I'll guarantee you that everybody that's listening to this podcast, if you sit down and you really think about your life, there have been some instance where you might have decided that you wanted to do something, but you didn't do it because of what somebody else thought, what somebody else was going to say, or what somebody else, or you didn't want to disappoint somebody, or you didn't want to, you know what I mean? Let me say, my goddaughter, I love her. And, when she got pregnant for the second time, and I'm sure we laugh about this, so I know she don't care if I share this, but when she got pregnant for the second time, I mean, she had a full scholarship, and she got pregnant with the first one on her last year of college. She had a full paid scholarship, smart, for academics, okay? Not for no sports, for academics. That's how smart she was. In her last year, she did a hiccup, okay? So I told her, I'm like, okay, well, this might slow you down, but you can still do it. And then she turned around, was it 2 years later? Yeah, because she's 3. Yeah, 2 years later and got pregnant again. And I was in Georgia and she was in another state. And I'm like, I'm calling her. And usually she come visit. She didn't come visit. She would just text me. I'm like, stop texting me. Call me. So when we came back to PA, around the same time we came back so that I could sell the house, she texted me a picture of her in the hospital bed holding the baby. She hid the whole pregnancy from me. I couldn't believe it. I'm like, what? Call me, right? Why you didn't call me? So when I asked, I said, why you didn't tell me? You know what she said? She said, because I didn't want to disappoint you. I said, wow. So, in other words, you worrying about disappointing me instead of yourself. And I'm not saying she disappointed herself. She felt disappointed because she knew that the person that she had the babies with wasn't, she noticed now. But she's doing great now. Thank God. She's back in school. She's almost 4.0 average. Like, she's doing it, But that was a deep, powerful statement that what it was she knew I believed in her more than she believed in herself. That was the thing. She knew I believed. I always told her how, smart she was. So she knew that I believed in her more than she believed in herself. Because why? Because other people impose negative thoughts. Now here I was always imposing positive thoughts. And she took that and she just didn't want me to know. Like, you had to tell me. That's a whole human. I mean, we all good now and everything. My grandbaby is what? She be 4. Soon she's 3. Think she 30. But it was a learning curve for her. And I'm like, wow, no, you need to be worrying about how you feel about yourself. You don't worry about me. I mean, I'm going to get over it because going to just tell you that, okay, you just made it a little bit harder for yourself, but you can still do it. It's just going to take a little bit longer. You know what I mean? So this is what I'm saying, y'all, about how powerful what we think about other people, how much it affects them as a person, how much it affects their, their spirit, their soul. I mean, like, okay, I got a note down here. You think about the Bible. And this is how powerful when somebody thoughts that's in a positive way can affect you. You think about the story of Moses and what he did, and he murdered somebody and he stuttered and all of this stuff. But yet God believed him to lead all of those people to the promised land. But he didn't believe that himself because of the fact of all the things that he did in his life that wasn't good. So he felt like, okay, I'm not good enough to do this. to do this journey. I'm not. But then he had to get to the point to change his mindset to start getting on the same page that God had him on. Like, no, you can do this and you are the one. You know what I'm saying? This is how powerful the thoughts that we impose on people. It can go either way. It could go south. It could go northwest, whatever. It could go bad. It could go, this is how powerful it is, So I really wish I could see my notes. I'm sitting here in the dark. Let me see if I got anything that I left out. Okay, so I got a homework project for y'all. So let me see what I want to do. I think I talked about the fact that the young people will get pressured into stuff. Okay. It's raining out here. So this is my homework project, and then I'm going to get off of here because it started raining. I know y'all can hear everything with this doggone mic. This is real life, y'all. Y'all know I keep it real. So homework for this topic right here. I need y'all to get out some paper. Take some time. Get out some paper. Think about all the things that you ever wanted to do in life. All of them. Just go way back. All the things that you ever wanted to do in life and that you shared with somebody. And when you shared it with somebody, they told you it would never work. They told you you're not smart enough. You don't have enough money. Just all the things they told you that the reason why it won't happen for you. And then I want you to write the person's name next to that. I don't care if it's 20 different people. Write it down. Then, after you do all of that, because it's probably going to take you a good while, once you start really thinking about all the thoughts that everybody else imposed on you, I want you to write down on the other page all the natural good qualities about yourself. I need you to really detox your mind and really get back to you. Write down the things that you want to do and write down little steps. Start with the smallest thing first. Little steps that you can take to start making those dreams become a reality. You got to understand, in life you're going to fail. You're going to fail. The thing is, are you going to get back up? Are you going to let your failure defeat you? That's what you got to think about. I have failed so many times. I've won so many times. I've achieved my dreams. I've achieved my goals. But sometimes stuff just stopped right in the middle of it because whatever. Because the people I was dealing with, the finances, whatever. But one thing I know is this. Everything that I've ever attempted to do in my life, I've always wound up utilizing that gift or that talent in another way. Like I did the whole music thing. I worked on websites, and all of that. But I was able to help my son publish his book. I knew how to do graphics. I knew how to do a website. I knew how to, all because of my past experience. So nothing is for void. Nothing is a waste of time. It just might be used in another way. You got to remember that, So it's about 45 minutes, even though I could go over. I'm not going to talk y'all to death. Because I did kind of up my plan. But I just needed to talk about this because there's a lot of people dealing with this. A lot of people that's my age and still are not living life for themselves. They still are living life because of what everybody else thinks. Because of what they don't want to disappoint people. They want to do what everybody else expects of them instead of being free. I'm free now. Okay? I'm so free. I don't give a flying two bit of this. What anybody think about me, how everybody think about the way I lived my life or whatever. It was my life to live. Okay? It was my life to live. Nobody else's. My choices to make, my mistakes, my whatever. You know what I'm saying? And trust me, I've learned from every last bit of it. I love my journey. I love the journey that I had. It was not boring at all. So, until Wednesday, guys. Wednesday, 6:30 p.m. Eastern Time. I'm going to talk to y'all Wednesday. And don't know the topic yet. Y'all know how I do. Sometimes I just, as the day goes, I think about, oh, yeah, that's it. That's what we're going to talk about. So I will talk to you guys on Wednesday. And, yeah, let's get it started, y'all. This is the top of the week. Do the damn thing. You know, this is Adionne, your dream pusher, your lifeguard, saving you from the world, saving you from yourself, saving you from drowning in just what everybody else thinks about you. Do you, boo. I love y'all. Peace.
Thank you for listening to Chronicles of Living, where we talk to everyday people about everyday things in the past, present, and future. And if you are pursuing your dreams, I'm proud of you. Because the best part of life is when you decide to live. To keep up with us, please visit chronicles-of-livin.com. Until next time, this is Adionne, your dream pusher. I love you guys.